You know, because I'm an Iranian spy. Oh, man. Just crazy. I kind of want to watch Rathbone's videos while I do my videos, because he does a good job of finding a bunch of goofy shit to look at. And I think on several levels, Rathbone and I could maybe get along. I don't know. You have to understand, the vast majority of my experience been talking to people who either believe in God or whatever, but I mean, especially the God thing. And it's such an, like, as somebody that believes in God and then, you know, it doesn't bother you, you don't really think about it. You don't really notice just how awful, uh, you know, the average Christian is, the average God thumper is. What's up, dude? You want to come out? Come on if you want to. But you see this, like, Jesus is Lord, yeah. He's holy, holy, holy. Is that because he has, like, the things in his hand, the spears and shit and all the piercing? Is that what you mean? He has all those holes in his body? What do you think Jesus' butthole looked like? You think Jesus had a nice rod? I mean, he was a friar, so he probably had a micro penis. Then again, I mean, yeah. I would say, to be that kind of guy, you got to have that BDE. But he's a friar. So it's like he has a micro penis. They all do. You might have your random exception to the rule like a Ron Jeremy, but they're friars. They have micro penises. That's just how that works. I would love to hear from a friar or from a broad that's been with a friar that's like, oh no, he had a monster hammer. I'd love to hear from that broad. I don't think she exists. I really don't think she exists. How can she? She'd be a fucking liar. Jane, what's going on? Karen, what's happening? Has any broad been with a friar and had your box knocked out? You were like, holy shit, this guy is amazing. This is the best lover I've ever had. Oh man, that Irving Finkelstein, he sure did put it on me. Has there ever been a woman that said that before? You know, Mrs. Finkelstein didn't know shit. She would never say that shit, right? And it actually fits the you should be ashamed of yourself talking about Jesus. Fuck Jesus. Jesus is right up there with Hashit and Yahweh and all of the other shitbag, Muhammad, all of it. It's all just dumb, shitty fucking friar, misdirection and manipulation. None of that shit's real. Karen, he lives for me. He's the first one here most of the time. He has alarms set. He just can't wait. They're just sick, man. They're sick. They're sick, twisted fucks. Like, most of us can't, like, comprehend why you would want to go somewhere where someone makes you look like such a piece of shit all the time. Like, why is that your thing? But that's what they are. I mean, these are, they fuck their own kids. Right? They fuck their own kids. And what else? What won't they do? Fall on your knees. Oh, it's the dumbass. Oh, I forgot because I don't know if he was yelling at first, but he's the yeller. He's the dumbass that doesn't know his own shit. Can't speak and like doesn't speak English. Can't have a normal conversation about things. He's just a fucking dumbass. I didn't realize that was you, Canaanite. Fucking dumb, man. He'd be great at parties though. Come on, water into wine. Yeah, but he was a friar, so you know he'd charge you for it. And I'm sure the water into wine thing is 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 a different narrative than people think. Right? Like, the whole fed the blind or fed the people with the two fish thing. That's a completely like the story itself is actually way dumber and much less believable. Um, or made the blind see or whatever. These are just dumbass stories. Right? These are dumb stories that you know like I said, I've never heard of anybody else that actually knew the story before. Like I looked it up and I found out, but I've never heard anybody tell me the story before. Thank you. Oh, come boy. Let me see. Right? Everybody, like with most things in the Bible, especially with Christians, they don't actually know their shit. Right? They know like an abbreviated version that they barely paid attention to when they were forced to go to church when they were kids, and now that they're adults, it's like they kind of remember it. If you're watching, like, share, sub. Don't forget to like, share, sub. They hate when you do that. Oop, that was a bad throw. My bad. But like, the blind man thing, old blind Billy, he was of significant age, used to sit out by the side of the road and beg people because being blind, both he and his family, his parents, were pariahs, and they lived on the outskirts of town. And the friars, they like to spit on people, so they would spit on him, and he was just mistreated because he was blind, right? And so one day Jesus is making the rounds, walking around the temples like he always did. Or it's just stupid. It's stupid, but Jesus is making the rounds. And he's getting razzed by the other friars around him. And like, you're not the son of God. And he's, I am the son of God. You're not the son of God. I am the son of God. And so they walk outside of this temple, and old blind Billy's sitting there. And Jesus walks up to him. And he just starts hawking fucking loogies. Like the biggest. He was probably just speaking. Well, I would say he was speaking Hebrew, but Hebrew wasn't invented until basically the 1900s. Late 1800s, early 1900s. But he was hawking up all these loogies. Where'd you go, Getty? I can hear you. Oh, there you are. He spits so much. They say he makes a paste out of the desert sand. So you would have to imagine, like, seriously, how much loogie would it take to make a fucking you know, a paste. Have you ever been to the beach and on a hot day and spit on the sand and it just sort of just goes away? I mean, if it's hot enough, it really will do one of those. But apparently, Jesus spit so much that he was able to make a paste that he could cover his eyes with. That he could cover his eyes. So again, that would be a significant amount of spit paste. And so Jesus makes a paste, rubs it in his eyes, and says, "Okay, now go rinse your face off in that river over there, over there. Now, don't get like a bucket of water or something. Now, make your blind ass way to the river. Enjoy it because it's your last time being blind. But make your blind ass way to the river." And so, again, old blind Billy has no idea what's going on. Like, can you imagine you're a blind man in a time when people are awful to you? They spit on you. They do all kinds of shit to you just out of the fun. Because, you know, they're friars. They throw animals in bonfires and shit like that. Right? Belch. But suddenly some friar walks up to you and is like, rubs a bunch of fucking spit sand in your eyes. Like, I know you can't see, but that shit still hurts, right? And then he's like, all right, go get in that river over there. Like, why would old blind Billy even begin to listen? Why wasn't old blind Billy fighting back? Who the fuck are you? What the fuck? I never seen you here before. Think about how crazy that is. Just think about that narrative for a second. Put yourself in old blind Billy's shoes. If he even had shoes, because he was, you know, fucking blind people need shoes too. What the fuck's he need shoes for? Probably mismatched and shit. But seriously, imagine, like, you can't see and somebody comes and rubs a bunch of sand in your eyes. Spit sand. Like, do you think you'd be like, where to now, my leader, oh father? You ready? But you're a good boy, go get it. But of course, he makes his way over to the river and he washes his face and huzzah, he can see. I can see. And he's not like overwhelmed by what he can see. He's not like, holy shit. He's not like, hey, where's that fucker that just spit all in my face? Hey, where's those Finkelstein brothers? I have a word to say to them. Nope. Everybody's like, yay! And you'd think that'd be the end of it, but it's not. Because there has to be the really, really fucked up lesson here, right? Like, again, I think on the surface, you kind of don't think about it. But when you think a little deeply on it, so one of the followers is like, yay, hey, Jesus. Verily, verily. Yeah, Jesus, can I ask you something? And verily, verily, verily. Verily, verily, verily. You can ask me something. Verily, verily. And the follower's like, hey, kind of weird, but what did old blind Billy do? Or like, what did his family do? Like, to have such a horrible situation? They must have been like terrible sinners or something like that, right? Like, what did they do to deserve such a horrible fate? And Jesus is like, verily, verily, I'm verily glad you verily asked me that question. Verily, verily. Verily. So like my dad, he owns a dealership. He can totally hook you up. My dad, he knew that like one day I would need to perform this miracle here. And he knew that like if I had like, you know how like televangelists will have just some random blind person come out of the woodwork and be healed? Well, he knew that you guys wouldn't believe me if I just brought some blind guy out of nowhere. Had to be somebody you knew. So, yeah, that's why. That's why. So He and his family, they were the pariahs. They were spit on. They were abused. They had to live on the outskirts of town. They were mistreated for many, many years. So I could perform this miracle here. I'm chosen, right? So I'm chosen. And these dumb goyim, like, they're just here for our usage. So if we need something, then fuck it. The goyim can suffer for 20, 30 years. I mean, he was old, so he was probably like 27. Actually, we know those Bible characters. They all lived to be 858,272. Society has tried to discredit Jesus so much. That's what makes me know Jesus, like, is the true king. That's what you're... How has society tried to discredit Jesus? I love when Christians play this card. Like, there's not fucking tax-free churches everywhere. Like, the churches aren't consistently being found to be houses of pedophilia, and then they just get away with it. The shit's not shut down or anything. The person barely gets in trouble. We have in God we trust on our money. Our president is he's a dumbass who obviously doesn't believe in it, but he tricks the people that do because he knows how stupid Christians are. Like, it's hey, you stop. Stop. Let go. You know, like, I love when Christians try to pretend like somehow they're being victimized by society. And you know that you know, you know how you know it's fake is that every time somebody does discredit Jesus, which they're able to do quite frequently, there's no counter argument. You know, it's just crybaby. Like, if Jesus was real, how come no like clergy, Christian authority, whatever it is, engages in intelligent debate? How come you can't show me the video where a Christian goes against an intelligent non-believer and comes away, looking like they won? It just doesn't happen. I mean, one of the cults rift of cult. Well, everything is like that. And of course, when the foundation of your thing is their thing, well, then the victim card is built in, right? It's just the same stupid shit over and over again. Like, honestly, this guy said the reason why he believes in Jesus is not because, here, let me show you some proof. It's because people don't believe in it. So that I go against the grain. I'm an asshole. If a bunch of people say that's true, well, I'm going to say it's true just cause. Like, it's so fucking weird how stupid they are. And it's like nobody makes them raise their hand. Nobody makes them project their stupidity. This is the choice they make. They specifically are like, yeah, no, we like this. This is our thing. Like, it's just so fucking weird. I wish Christians had more, because it would make me like, I could at least have some respect for them, but I have zero respect for Christians at this point, because you believe in such utter nonsense that ends up being justification for atrocities, and at the end of the day, you only care about yourself. As long as you get to go to heaven when you die, then you don't give a fuck. Who cares if the clergy consistently gets caught raping children, especially little boys? You don't think gays should have rights because of Sodom and Gomorrah. And again, Another one of these stories I guarantee you don't know. Jesus was a friar, so it couldn't have been that impressive. Exactly. I mean, if you read the Bible and you read the sections that are supposedly Jesus, the things that Jesus actually said, he sounds like a whiny friar. Everything is like, no, that's my dad. You need to believe it. If you don't believe it, you're going to be sorry. Why doesn't everybody worship me? And they love to pretend like he wasn't, but that's what that's what he's doing the whole time. He wants everybody to worship him and accept the fact that he's the Son of God, and like it's just so fucking stupid. Look at this dumbass, right? Not only is he yelling, he needs you to pay attention to him so much he's yelling, but he's made comment after comment after comment, and none of it makes sense. None of it is like, oh wow, that's a good point. Oh wow, yeah, you sound really smart there. Oh well, you clearly know your stuff. Like it's fucking insane. Sodom and Gomorrah is the worst. It's the nastiest, most disgusting story in the Bible. And it's not for the reasons why they say. Hi, little bud. Hi. So, I've done this many, many times, but it's worth it.
It's steeping.
Huh?
Your tea is steeping.
Oh, thank you. That's a surprise. Took me off guard there, lady.
Is he playful?
Yeah, he's probably getting tired though. He's been doing a lot of running back and forth. I figured he had to go potty. Yeah, that's what I did. So you have the two angels are just walking. They're walking to somewhere else. And Lot, who is, what is he, Moses' kid? Or, he's related to the main, he's one of the main friar characters in the Bible, right? Because all the main characters are friars, and he's one of the main. So he is like sitting outside of the town. Back then, I guess they would have their towns, and they would be like surrounded by a fence or something. I don't know. But Lot is sitting at the gate, coming into one of the towns. I'm not sure if it's Sodom or Gomorrah. But Lot sees these two guys walking by, and he's like, hey, you guys want to come over and spend the night at my house? It's going to get dark soon. And they're like, no, that's kind of weird. No, we're good. And Lot's like, are you sure? I'll make you some unleavened bread. And they were like, oh shit, my favorite. Tasteless, fucking shitty bread. Yeah, let's do it. And so multiple times throughout this narrative, you get that Transformers, Republican, Autobot to Decepticon change, where like the scene changes. So now they're at Lot's house, and they're just sort of hanging out when, imagine it's dark time now, because Lot was saying it was almost dark. So it's probably dark. What? So he so they're all of a sudden all the men of the town, of both towns, of both Sodom and Gomorrah, are suddenly outside Lot's house. Now, remember, these are two large towns. And think about what you think pre-fucking pre-zero world looked like, you know? I mean, you're wrong, because it turns out they had like these fucking stone mansions and all kinds of crazy shit, but let's just go with what we think, right? You know, thatch roofs and little huts everywhere, basically, right? That's what you would... I mean, that's what we are said to believe. Unless you're going to accept the reset idea, which is the only real option you do have, but all of the men, they were sitting there, they were banging on their horseshoes, bink, 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 you know. I mean, I don't know what guys back then did. I would imagine they killed stuff and then they ate and slept. Game of Thrones, my wife watched it, so she could tell me what they did in there. They fucked a lot, I guess. That was what they were doing. And so suddenly, all of the men of the town are stricken with gay. And not like all-inclusive gay. Like, they suddenly know for some reason that these two male angels, but they don't know they're angels, but they know these two guys are at Lot's house. Suddenly, somehow. You know, again, not like there's internet. It's not like... I mean, I didn't even know if there was internet, like, why everybody did Lot, like, go tweet it, like, hey, these two guys just showed up, and they're very handsome. But somehow they all know that these two guys are there, and they want to fuck them. Like, they're not, you know, they're not, it's not like there's a fucking tribal party, and all the guys are out there have big old gay orgy and they want those two to join. No, they specifically look these two guys. So, I mean, to me that seems like I wouldn't call you gay if angels appear and you're compelled to want to fuck them. I mean, they're angels, right? Aren't they? I would imagine they have some riz about them. Skibbity dot Rizzler. My kids hate me. So they're like, hey, Lot, send out those two guys we shouldn't know are in there, so we may know them, so they can fuck them. And Lot's like, don't worry, angels, I'll handle this. So he goes outside, and he sees all the townsmen are there, and he's like, what the fuck? What are you guys doing here? Jimmy, Timmy, you guys are betrothed to my daughters. What are you doing here? And they're like, send us out the men that are in there so we can fuck them in their butts. Because we don't want to fuck each other. That's gross. That's gay. But we do want to fuck those two guys that we shouldn't know are in there. And Lot's like, that's terrible. You know, these are guests in my house. You can't just come fuck guests in my... How about this? Y'all know I have the two virgin daughters. Again, Jimmy, Timmy are betrothed. Oh, what the fuck is this? Ew. How about this? How about I let you guys have my two daughters, and you can do with them whatever you like. Yeah, you can do whatever you want to my daughters. Just leave those two guys alone. Like no raping the two guys, okay? Yeah. Stupid. And they're like, thankfully, they're like, no. Those are little girls, man. They're like 11 and 12 and shit. What are you talking about? If we're all friends and they're betrothed to Jimmy and Timmy, they can be however old, whatever. But to be betrothed, they have to be like 12. Basically, from 12 to 13 is the betrothal period in our specific community. So you know, your wife must have had one baby in like January, and then you selfish bastard, all old and shit, you were like, let's hurry up and have another one, I guess. Remember, Lot and wife are very old. Obviously, Lot is significantly older than wife, but Lot and wife are very old. So, the rape mob's like, no, we don't want to rape your daughters. We want to rape those men. And they start walking all slowly, zombie-like, towards the door. When the door opens and a hand pulls Lot in, it's one of the angels. And so the angels like wave their hands or something, and now everybody's blind. All the men are blind. Now they're specifically gay and blind for the first times in their lives. And yet, and even though they were right in front of the doorway, they can't find the door. And then the Autobot symbol passes, and now it's later. And I guess the mob has dispersed, and Lot is talking to the angels, and the angels reveal themselves, and they're like, man, you know, we were just passing by because God's going to rain fire and brimstone down upon this, both Sodom and Gomorrah, you know, because everybody's so gay. And Lot was thinking probably like, they weren't gay till you guys showed up, and it's not like they were out there fucking each other. They just wanted to fuck you guys. And you're very handsome. And angels are like, yeah, God's going to rain down fire and brimstone. Good boy. That's a good boy. That's a good boy. God's going to rain down fire and brimstone and destroy Sodom and Gomorrah because you're all so gay. And you were going to get killed too, but you helped us out. So you and your daughters and your wife and the two boys the two men that they're betrothed to, you guys can escape. And Lot's like, damn. Well, you know, I'm super old and I'm super crippled. Where are we supposed to go? There's a little town, like a couple of a distance away that fire and brimstone raining down on Sodom and Gomorrah won't affect said town.
What?
Sketty, come on. Come on, Bubba. Let me see. Come on. You want this? Come on.
What?
He's playing. Huh?
Just stand it for that.
Well, maybe he's just screaming at you like, hi! And so the angels are like, well, let me call my boss and see what he has to say. So they call up God and they're like, hey, God. And God's pissed because, you know, Paul's a terrible angel. He's a terrible salesman. He's terrible. And like, he keeps writing bad deals. So God's like, he's eating his dinner. He's like, what the fuck do you want, Paul? And Paul, he has to play the role. If you ever been an in-home salesman, you know the routine. You got to be like, hey there, God. Yeah, I'm sitting here with Lot and his beautiful daughters and his wife. And you should see this house. I mean, really, as far as thatch roof shacks go, this is fucking nice. God's like, yeah, what do you want, Tony? Or Paul, sorry, Paul. What do you want, Paul? And Paul's like, well, you know, Lot, you know, you saw, he helped us out. And he was wondering, you know, since he's so old and crippled and shit, if him and his little crew can escape to that town that's not far from here. And God's like, oh, fucking Paul, if this is more wood, Paul, you're fucking fired. This is your job here. And Paul's like, yeah, no. He said he's going to go. They're going to start a little life in the town and everything's going to be okay. And God's like, listen, whatever. Get him to fucking sign it. If he doesn't fucking go to that town, it's your ass, Paul. Click. Paul's like, oh, that's wonderful to hear, God. Yeah, thanks a lot. We really appreciate it. No, you have a great night as well. Tell the wife. The wife I said hi. He doesn't know. He's gay. Tell Raul the pool boy we said hi too. God's already hung up. And Paul's like, you'll never believe this. He never does this. But today and today only, he said, if you guys do go to the town during the fire and brimstone raining down because he loves you, then yeah, you can go there. You don't. I don't know where else you were supposed to go, but he said you can go there. And so Lot's like, bet, hang on. So Lot goes to Jimmy and Timmy's houses, and he's like, hey guys, and it's like 1:30 in the morning. It's got to be late as fuck by this point. But he's like, hey guys, remember how earlier today you were like blind for the first time in your life, and then very, very specifically gay for the first time in your life? And they were like, yeah, that was really weird. And everybody else too, all the other men, like, I don't know, must have been something we ate. Oh, that's weird. And Lot was like, no, it was actually some angels. And they said that God's gonna rain fire and brimstone down from the heavens because everybody in town's so gay. And they were like, what are you talking about? Nobody was gay until they showed up. What do you mean? You're stupid, Lot. We were just blind and gay for those two guys for a minute. Like, it's all good. Nothing weird going on. No fire and brimstone from God. And come on, Lot. You're just a silly old man. So Lot's like, fine. Oh, fine. Whatever you want. You don't want to go, you don't go. I'm not going to make you go. I can't make you go. I'm too old. Too crippled. You're young. You're beautiful. You don't want to go. You don't have to go. I don't care. I tried to warn you. I'm going to leave now. I'm going to go hang out and go see my daughters. The daughters you won't see anymore because you're not going to go because it's going to rain fire and brimstone.
Oh, goodness. That was a big problem.
And then the next day, they must have had a Home Alone situation. Because when they woke up, they were like, oh, we're late. And the angels are like, yo, what the fuck are you still doing here? God is about to rain fire and brimstone down from the heavens because he loves you. And they were like, hang on. So then they teleport Lot and his two daughters and his wife to the outskirts of town. And they're like, all right, you guys know how to use Godspeed, right? You better get your ass going. And whatever you do, don't look back or you'll get turned into a pillar of salt. So as they go along their journey, dumb wife, you know how dumb broads are, right? Especially biblical broads. She's like, what's going on behind us? And she turns around and she gets turned into a pillar of salt. So now the moral compass of the unit is gone. The one that says, hey, you can't fuck your daughters. Like, that voice is gone. She's now a pillar of salt in the middle of the fucking desert. And so, Lot and his two daughters, the only two left, I assume they're the only two people on Earth. Like, I'm not really sure how that works out. Because they get to the town, and it's not like there's anybody there. But Lot sort of has this epiphany, and he's like, you know what? I don't think I trust those angels. I think those angels might be lying. And it's a good thing that I just happen to have that cave way up on that mountain over there, fully stocked with, supplies for food and of course, a whole bunch of alcohol. Why don't we go up to that cave that I just happen to know about and have set up. And so now they use their Mario jumps and they bleep, 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 jump up the mountain. And now they're standing in the mouth of the cave, and now they can look back. Because before they weren't allowed to look back, but now they can look back and they see Sodom and Gomorrah smoldering in the distance. And one's like, hey, is that Mom? That pillar of salt? And you'd think, you got your little story. Maybe you should end it here before it gets weird. And the Bible's like, ha, 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 hold my fucking grail. And so now, it's later. And Lot's two daughters are in the cave having a conversation. And this is one of these points that always gets ignored by Bible thumpers. And to me, it's a really fascinating point. Oh, that's how she gets me poison. She doesn't normally make my tea. But how else is she going to get the poison in me?
There's lots of ways I can get the poison in you, baby.
So, the two little girls who are like 12 they're having a conversation between them that somehow makes it into the Bible. Just think about that. Who's writing that shit down? Are there little naked butt fucking angel cherubs sitting there writing shit down? Like, oh, this is what, like, who's writing it down? The girls aren't writing it down. Remember, they're like 12. They have to be 12. 13 at the most, but 12. Maybe one's 11. Because again, you have to take it in the context. These are two girls who are virgins, and they're betrothed. In the culture that they were Jewish. From 12 to 13 is the time when, at 12 years and 1 day is when they get assigned to their husband, when they get selected by the man that will, be their husband. Right? And he's a good 10, 15, 20 years older. But who cares? It's them, right? And so these two daughters, they have to be 12 if they're both betrothed and they're both still virgins. As soon as they have their bar mitzvah, they become legally adults in one specific way. In the way that they can be married and therefore adults can have sex with them. That's literally the only way that they become an adult. They don't drive, they don't vote, they don't, have businesses and shit. They're just, this was super dry for some reason. I don't know what the fuck it was. Reminded me of the old school perfectos. You'd have to be so careful because they just want to fall apart. So they're talking with each other and they're like, hey, younger sister. Yes, older sister. You remember how, like, our dad is, like, super awesome? And the younger, yeah, older sister. He wanted to give us to that rape mob in order to save those two strangers. What a great guy he must have been. Or he must be. Or he is. And older sister's like, I agree. It's just too bad that he only has us piece of shit daughters and doesn't have a son to carry on his name. And younger sister's like, are you thinking what I'm thinking? And older sister's like, yeah. We're going to get him super, super drunk. So drunk that he doesn't remember it. Because as long as the guy doesn't remember it, it's fine. If the woman knows, she's a woman. Who gives a fuck? She's a pillar of salt. Who gives a fuck? But they're going to get their 90-plus-year-old crippled-ass father so drunk that he can't remember having sex with his daughters, which means they probably like gave him a shot and he was like, "Oh boy, I'm hammered. Well, what are we gonna do? I can't remember what's gonna happen tomorrow. Boy, I sure am tired." You know, I've been a virile man in my 20s and drank too much and my dick didn't work, and I wasn't fucking a relative.
Are you sure?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure. Especially not my daughters. Like, as bad as your cousin would be or whatever, or even your sister, your daughters, you'd have to be some pretty fucking hammered. And I would imagine, unless you have a sexual attraction to your daughters, I don't see how you can be so hammered that your dick still works and you don't know you're fucking your daughters. But that's what happens. The next day, the virgin who, you know, had sex with her father tells her younger sister, "Huzzah! I am pregnant and it's with a boy. I can tell it's the first day. It's the morning after. Who needs EBT or EPT? Who needs EPT? I just know this shit. Times are different. The oxygen levels are different. Yeah, you know, I just, as a 12-year-old girl with no experience whatsoever, I know what it's like to be pregnant. First thing in the morning. So our plan works. So tonight, younger sister, you're going to do the same thing. So not only is he old and crippled, not only is he fucking his daughters, he's on a 2-day binger. I would imagine he was hungover as fuck. Last time I got drunk was like 10 years ago plus. And it was a horrible mistake because I had a 3-day hangover. I was fucked up and sick for 3 days. What's up, Matt? And so I mean, I would imagine he felt like shit the next day and he was like, "Hey, anything weird happen?" Yeah. I smell different. You guys have better gone to the mikvah. If you didn't go to the mikvah, oh my God, I am going to be so mad at you. But next day, same thing happens. Next morning, younger sister's like, "Huzzah, I am also pregnant with a boy." Right on. And those people, their sons, both became the leaders of different people. One was the Ammonites, and the other was the Moabites. Now, this is where we always sidetrack because it's an interesting sort of connection here. Belch. But everybody knows who this piece of shit is, right? We all know who that fucking monster is, right? Do we all know who that is? You know who that is? Do you know who that is? That as many times as I've done this, every single time it's like crazier and crazier. The resemblance is uncanny, right? The second guy, his name is one of his names is Wallace Fard Muhammad, and he is known as the founder of the Nation of Islam. You know, the black Muslims. Right?
What?
That guy looks like a black Muslim guy, doesn't he? And he's like the main founder, but his co-people. You sure? Go poop?
Mm-hmm. And I've been fucking a ton.
Yeah, well, go watch TV, man. Yeah, you forgot to flush. So I got to see this morning. You didn't want anybody to do. We flushed the toilet all night. Goofy. Thanks for being considerate, but he didn't flush because he didn't want to wake anybody up. Aw. Goes to show you how infrequently he wakes up to go to the bathroom. One of so at that time, there were lots of little, like, black power, black nationalist type groups. Like, again, at the time, we're talking about nationalism sort of being a first time thing. Like, people, you know, in the 1880s is when the friars sort of were like, hey, after 1800 some years, we should probably go get our homeland back. Like, just fucking stupid shit, right? It's all stupid, and I don't believe any of it. But I'm just saying what you're told, how you're told history works. And so the Nation of Islam absorbed a few of these other black organizations. One of the main ones was a group that the main guy said that black people were the descendants of the Moabites. So basically, black people come from an old Jewish man and his young 12-year-old Jewish daughter. I mean, the way it's worded is so tricky because I really have a hard time saying they had sex. He raped her, but the way it's worded makes it sound like, you know, that the daughters did it to their dad, which is so fucked up, right? But that incestuous occasion, that incestuous abomination is where black people come from. Do you really think it's a coincidence that that guy, especially at the time, early 1900s, had power? How did that guy just come out of the woodwork and get all that power? You mean that doesn't look like a younger Bibi? I think it does. And that pic is from way before he could have even been possibly alive. Right. That's supposedly him in like 1930. So Wallace Fard Muhammad appears in the historical lexicon in 1930. And by 34, he has disappeared and no one ever sees him again. So he was technically only a part of, like, provable society for 4 years. I'm gonna just pull him up because the narrative is just dumb as fuck. It really is much dumber than you think. And the chrome is probably why he's still around. Okay, I wasn't looking for the resemblance. What's his name again? Don't worry, we're gonna do a whole thing on it real quick. Basically, yes, but it's the black Muslims. So his name is Wallace. Well, the thing that he's known by is Wallace Fard Muhammad. Again, this man is the founder of the Nation of Islam. Look at that straight, shiny hair. Look at that. What does that look like? Look at that profile.
Voldemort.
That's quite the gonzo on there. It's hidden by the whitening out of the picture, but he's got quite the schnozola. Okay, so Wallace Fard Muhammad, or W.D. Fard, because, you know, like, how many people do you know that have had multiple aliases throughout their life. And, like, completely different. One is Wallace Fard Muhammad. The other one is W.D. Fard. Those are his main aliases. It seems like only guys like J.D. Vance, a.k.a. Bowman, a.k.a. something else. You know, Robert Maxwell had like 4 or 5 different identities. And basically what they do is they steal the identity and attach it to the person so that there's a narrative of that person existing in history. When they create a character, then they go, okay, yeah, this is him. At this time, he was known by this. And trust me, this gets even weirder. Watch. Just watch. Reportedly born February 26, 1877, disappeared circa 1934. Not really sure. Was a religious leader who founded the Nation of Islam. Born, date uncertain. Nation of Islam, tradition claims February 26, 1887. Place uncertain. Nation of Islam claims Mecca. Possibly British Raj, New Zealand, Shinkai, Afghanistan, or British Hong Kong. So literally the entire, like, eastern, you know, from New Zealand to Hong Kong and all the way over to Afghanistan. Like, do you not see, like, how fucking insane that shit is? I mean, it's not even like, oh, it was possibly like Pontiac or Livonia, somewhere in the Detroit area. We're talking about multiple continents, not just countries, continents that he's said to have been born on. Not really sure. Disappeared in 1934, died, date, cause, and place of death are unknown. Other names he was known by: Wali Fred Dad, Fred the Greek, Fred the Turk, Wally Dodd Fard, Wally Dodd Ford, William D. Fard, Master Fard Muhammad. 1, 2, 3. That's 7, and that doesn't include the 2 that they gave us initially, which is W.D. Fard or Wallace Fard Muhammad. So that's 9. So far we have 9 identities. Still listening to that one guy about to end the break. Oh, man. Yeah, but you've heard some of this before, so you'll be all right. Have a great day. Either way, man. Appreciate everything you do. Birth dates attributed to Fard include 1887, 1883, 1884, 1891, and 1893. I mean, you know, that's a pretty significant 16-year difference, don't you think? Okay, so, sorry. Occupations: religious and political activists. Spouses: Pearl Allen. Her name was Pearl Allen. If I told you somebody's name was Pearl Allen, what would you think they are?
Pearl to me is a southern name, so I don't know.
Yeah. Married and divorced in 1914. Hazel Barton, after 1919 due to common law. And then Carmen Trevino, married in 1924. I thought common law, you were common law after like 5 years or something. Isn't it 5 years?
7.
So common law is 7 years. So how could he have been married to Pearl Allen in 14 and then sometime after 1919, or I mean, 1919 is 365 fucking days. 64. How could you be common law anything? Especially if you married Carmen Trevino in 1924. Something doesn't smell right. Children. With Hazel, he had Wallace Dodd Fard, later Wallace Max Ford. I mean, it's just crazy to think about, like, how, like, today we're taught that our names and our namesake and our tradition and all that stuff is so important. Yet back then, these guys are just fucking like, today I feel like Fred. I'm gonna be a Fred today. Fard arrived in Detroit in 1930 with an ambiguous background and several aliases, and proselytized. What am I? Am I saying that right? Proselytized. Proselytized. What the fuck does that mean? Proselytized. Why would you use a word like that? Especially, like, I mean, it's gonna sound shitty, but the majority of people gonna look this guy up are fucking, blacks, especially in prison and shit like that. So a word like proselytize is not a word that's gonna be common. Proselytize means to convert or attempt to convert someone from one religion, belief, or opinion to another. He showed up with an ambiguous background, several aliases, and tried to get people to switch syncretic Islam teachings to the city's black population. I mean, this is one of these things that I just love thinking about, right? How? Think about how, especially a black man, how is he going to get a message to the people of an entire city? People would have to literally see him in person. I mean, even the chances of you hearing a recording of him is slim to none at the time. So how is this man... Is he just standing on the corner preaching? And the things that he's standing on the corner and preaching, people are like, fuck yeah, that sounds good. You know? You want me to call you master? All right, master.
You said that and I heard Metallica.
First world problems. You would think the last thing black people would want to associate with is a master, right? You would think, if the narrative we're told is true. Go fuck yourself. I'm sure I've said way worse things. And racist is only white people in the United States and friars can be racist. Black people can't be racist. Black people can be prejudiced as a motherfucker. Mexicans can be prejudiced as a motherfucker. But without having the ability to affect the money that goes into a region, the demographic, the fucking, all of it, the schools, the grocery stores, all that shit, that's what racism is. Racism is an entire communal thing. But again, I'm smarter than most people I know, black, white, and whatever. And I know I've heard the word proselytized before, but uncommon, and I didn't know what it means. So to assume a bunch of kids are going to know what it means, especially when you know what Detroit schools look like. But obviously, if that's the thing you're going to comment on and not we should kill the pedos and all that other stuff, we see what your motivation is. His group taught followers to abandon their old, quote, slave names in favor of new names that were bestowed on new members. Hey, give up your name and your whole identity, and I'm going to rename you, call me master. Sound good? Like, that's so fucking weird. Who would do that? Who would spit on their family, their fathers like that? Yeah, I'm not a Johnson anymore because I don't want that slave name. Now you call me Ikabak Bukbak Muhammad VII. Laser fire. I throw that laser fire on there just because I think it's cool. It's modern, you know. Fard's movement simply taught black pride and black exceptionalism, saying that the black man is the, quote, original man, and teaching that the white race were devils created by a scientist named Yakub via eugenics. A scientist named Yakub. To associate Yakub with anybody, who would you associate that with? Just one? It's not like this one, this one, this one? Especially Jacob, not Jacob. Jacob. Right. I know people would think I might have said no, it's actually with the Y. Jacob, and then through eugenics. Weird. 1930s, eugenics must have been real popular, right? It actually was amongst the rich and powerful. But this really does sound like, I guess, just a bunch of coincidence. As Karen says. The group preached abstinence from drugs, alcohol, pork, and out-of-wedlock sex. I mean, you know, those aren't bad teachings. Although the out-of-wedlock sex thing is a weird one, because it's like, you know, like all the shit that you do, like with your partner, as time goes on, like those things change. But the one thing you're supposed to be able to have is a good physical connection to one another. Like that's the thing that you only have with each other. You're not supposed to have it with other people. And so to lock yourself into something where with someone that you're completely like sexually incompatible with, you know, that's not something that just, we'll work on it. What if their shit grosses you out on a level you don't understand? What if, you know, especially from a female perspective, you don't enjoy it? Like, dudes, all you gotta do is bang it around a little bit and it'll pop. But for females, you know, there has to be. And I'm not one to push the stereotype that, they're just so difficult. Who do you think came up with that? It's not our fault the females aren't getting off. It's their fault because they're so difficult. Can't find the man in the boat. Don't know. They're so complicated. They're so difficult. No, they're not. They're not. All you got to do is pay attention. If she goes, and then she goes, keep doing the thing that makes her go, And if at some point she goes, go back to doing the, that's it. Lip sob. Vibrating. Get on itchy. Literally, that's the best advice I can give anyone. My kids have known that one for a long, long time. Don't have to give any details. Don't have to be gross about it. Just pay attention. Just pay attention. You'll try different things throughout your journey, and you'll collect different things from different people. And as long as you pay attention, not only are they easy, it's incredible because they can just keep doing it. Like you go, okay, I'm done. They can just boom, 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 Mortal Kombat. They're fucking, yeah, it's amazing. It's my favorite thing, right? It's my favorite thing to just watch and like look at these women that are like all like prim and proper and get all embarrassed and shit, and they're going. If she looks sexy, you're not doing it right. She's faking it. Ooh, 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 ooh. Yeah, that's fake. When she's doing shit that's embarrassing, that's when you know you're doing a good job. You hear these deep guttural noises, like she's fucking death metal. That's when you know you're hitting the spots. All that other shit is fake. And you gotta tell them, hey, don't do that. Like, well, you shouldn't have to tell them. But if you notice it, be like, hey, you don't have to do that shit. Tell me what you want. Tell me what you want, what you really, really want. I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. I want a zigga, zigga, bigga, fligga, blugga, blugga. Whatever the fuck they say. Notice how there's not going to be a female on here that's going to be like, no, you're wrong, guy. That's not how it works. Nope. They're all like, dudes, fucking write this shit down. Pay attention. I can't imagine, like, I just think about myself doing it. I've actually done it before. And it's because I was so fucking drunk. And I just wanted it to end. And I had already busted on the pregame. And so, you know, that second one was just stuck. And I just went, oh man. She was like, oh, okay, cool. But I would just feel stupid. Like if I had to do what chicks do, ooh, ee, oh, ooh, ee, ah, a, e, I, oh, you, and sometimes why? I would feel like a fucking dumbass. There was one time, because again, I pay attention. My wife just wasn't quite in the mood. And she started faking it. And almost immediately I was like, hey, what are you doing? Stop that shit. She's like, I'm sorry, I'm just not here right now. And I was like, all right, cool. Then we could just stop. I'm not going to be like, all right, well, just hang on a second. Just lay there and hang on a second. Let me just hang on. Just hang on a second. Like, unless you're there and into it and all that, I don't want to do it. It's not that important. That's the thing that people just, like, especially men, we're taught from such a very young age that, you know, that nut is the most important thing in the world. And I guess it potentially is because it can ruin your life in so many ways. But, you know, it's definitely not something worth committing crime over. You know? Like, if you're gonna, like, I just don't know how anybody can be like, oh, you're asleep. Like, let me hear, like, I can understand if somebody's asleep and you, like, you know, you, like, try starting the engine and getting them going in the hopes that they wake up and things, you know, start. But even that is on, you know, they have to be the right person for that. If they're not that person, then that's not okay. And that's something you just sort of, are you that person? If they're like, hell yeah, I'm that person, then fuck yeah, go for it. Like, there's not a guy on earth that would wake up to a blowjob and be like, oh, what are you doing? Listen, what? You're violating me. Oh, please stop it. How dare you? But if you could, like, if you're like I said, it's one thing to try to get the engine started, but to be doing your thing, and then she like wake if she if she doesn't wake up to you, you know, climbing aboard, wow, yikes! That's gotta be a fucking, it's gotta be a kick in the dick. But again, there's like no ever, oh, she's passed out. What is the fun in that? The fun part is watching them. Watching what they do, the noises, the songs they sing, and all that shit. Watching when they're into it, and they wrap around you, and they look at you in your eyes, and all that shit's the amazing part. The bang, bang, bang part, that, you know, I mean, it's definitely better than doing it by yourself. But, again, you know, like, I just can't, nothing but completely into it, enthusiastically, like, that's the only thing that's acceptable. If you're sitting there and she's like, just hurry up and get it over with, like, that's fucking gross. How can you enjoy that? I just can't imagine enjoying that. Okay, just hang on. Okay, hang on. Hang on, let me get some lube so you're all good to go, because you're not naturally, you know? Just such weird shit, man. It's just such weird shit, such weird ways we've been programmed. Anyway, after one of Fard's followers performed a human sacrifice, Fard was briefly arrested, but the police ordered him to depart Detroit and not return. That sounds believable. One of his people commits a human sacrifice. He gets arrested for it. And Detroit police is like, yeah, you know what? We just don't want to deal with it. Go somewhere else and commit your human sacrifices. Not, let's just put this fucker in jail. Why not just put him in jail? Why not just put him in prison? This is a black man in the 30s. Like, are you saying like, oh, they didn't want that headache? They were worried about the NAACP coming down on them and shit? No. This makes no sense. These stories make no sense. Unless, of course, you look at it as their manufactured narratives to control people. You know, because most people, if you're looking this up, you're not looking this up skeptically. If someone's looking into this, it's because they're a believer and they're trying to find, you know, trying to find information on their guy and whatever. Very, very few people are going to do what I do from a skeptical point of view. Look, you know, go doing research about these things from a skeptical point of view. That's not, my skepticism isn't based in, I believe Jesus is the right one. Like, no, it's just flat skepticism. And these stories just don't make sense. To depart Detroit and not return. Instead, he continued to return to the city where he was spotted by police because, like, where did he go to? If he returned, that means he had to leave. And of course, we know that 1930s travel was fucking luxurious. So how was he doing all this travel? In 1934, after repeated arrests and death threats, Fard left Detroit and ultimately disappeared. What a convenient ending, huh? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad succeeded Fard as leader of the Nation of Islam. Fard's teachings in turn influenced many, including Malcolm X, Clarence 1310, Muhammad Ali. I've never heard of Clarence 13X. And indirectly, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Let's just throw Kareem in there too. Fucking A, why not? The Nation of Islam celebrates Savior's Day every 26th in his honor. Every February 26th in his honor. All right, early life. This is where it just gets like goofy. And remember, I have, like, the last time I read this was like a year ago, and then I exposed a bunch of it. So I wonder what was changed since then. Origin of Wallace Fard Muhammad. This is its own page. Wallace Fard Muhammad appeared in Detroit in 1930, where he founded a new religious movement that came to be called the Nation of Islam, but both his birth, origin, and fate are uncertain. Here's another one. Here's his mugshot. Nation of Islam, black Muslims. Yeah, that doesn't look like a friar at all. That looks like a black guy. That looks like Cat Williams. Sure looks a lot like a shaved Cat Williams in this one, doesn't he? Like, holy fuck, that's Cat Williams. Nation of Islam. This is a different thing. So I'm reading this for the first time. This is literally, they have an origin of Wallace Fard Muhammad has its own page. Origin, like, that sounds like a character. Nation of Islam tradition holds that Fard was born in Mecca, while scholars have considered a wide variety of possible origins and backgrounds. In the 1960s, the FBI identified Fard as Wally Dodd Ford, W-A-L-L-I-E, Dodd, D-O-D-D, Ford, a Los Angeles restaurateur who had spent 3 years in prison in California for the sale of a narcotic. The Nation of Islam disputes the identification, while most scholars accept it. Based on what? Fard disappeared in 1934. Nation of Islam leader Elijah Muhammad maintained that Fard had been deported, while others speculated that Fard may have died by foul play or due to complications from his diabetes. Theories of origin. Fard was traditionally held by the Nation of Islam to be an Arab from Mecca. The black Muslims, like main dude, is believed by the thing to be an Arab from Mecca. Why would black people identify with an Arab from Mecca? How has there not been a black guy from Africa that resonate? How come there's never been a Wallace Fard Muhammad from Africa? A big black dude, a Senegalese, fucking 6'7", jacked, beautiful teeth for some reason, dark black as fuck. Like this, we are the fucking shit. Some rug motherfucker come through. Who wants a piece? You don't believe me? Let's go in the ring. Because you're not beating rug. Many scholars argue that Fard may have been from South Asia, India, Pakistan, Afghanistan. How would you know? Some claim he was a white man, perhaps from New Zealand. Who are these claims? Others speculate he was a Turk. A Turk? A Turk, or Turks, or Turkish people are the largest Turkic ethnic group, comprising the majority of the population of Turkey and northern Cyprus. Less popular theories of origin suggest Syrian, Listen to this list. Syrian, Moroccan, Greek, Bosnian, Albanian, African American, or Jewish. Hi. Hi, what you doing? Oh, what's going on, little guy? South Asia. Carl Evans, Evanzz, Evans, in his book The Messenger, postulates that Fard was the son of a Muslim from modern-day Pakistan, then known as East India. He bases this theory on several indications. Fard spent some time at the Ahmadiyya Mosque, a movement prominent in Pakistan, and used translations of the Quran from South Asian Muslims. How did he get to the United States? Number 2, the name Fard, F-A-R-D, is a common surname in Pakistan, as are other names that he bestowed upon his followers, such as Shabazz, Ghulam, and Khalat. This motherfucker is naming people. You want to talk about a cult? Good God. Yeah, African American. The second to last unlikely possibility is black, while the last one is Jewish. And if it's not going to be first, it's going to be last. But it's going to stand out. It's got a bookend. Interviews with longtime nation figures who met him or saw original photos of him, such as Ozir Muhammad, Rodnell Collins. This dude is just making shit up. Ozir, Rodnell, nephew of Malcolm X is Rodnell Collins, and Wilfred Little indicate that Fard had Pakistani features. Pakistani features. Indeed, Pakistani features. Number 4, early teachings from Fard indicated he a distrust and disdain for Hinduism. Well, yeah. The 2017 book Fard by A.K. Arian, A-R-I-A-N, Arian, A.K. Arian. Wonder who that is, because it's not a blue person that I can look into. A.K. Arian studies the origin of the Nation of Islam founder. One theory postulated is that Fard was of Afghan heritage. In 2019, or the 2019 book, Finding W.D. Fard, Unveiling the Identity of the Founder of the Nation of Islam, investigates a variety of theories about Fard's ethnic and religious writings, or religious origins, writing, quote, the people who actually met him and the scholars who have studied him have suggested that he was variously an African American, an Arab from Syria, Lebanon, Algeria, Morocco, or Saudi Arabia, a Turk, an Afghan, an Indo-Pakistani, a Greek. In an attempt to determine the origins of W.D. Fard, most scholars have relied on his teachings as passed down and perhaps modified by Elijah Muhammad. Am I still reading a quote here? Apparently I am. Some have suggested that he was a member of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Never heard of that. Or the Ahmadiyya movement. Others have suggested that he was a Druze or a Shiite. Now, do you guys know who the Druze are? So the Druze are a population of people inside Israel. Now, the only reason I know this is because if you remember sometime after October 7th, you know, the false flag where no friars were killed or taken hostage. Isn't it weird how nobody talks about the hostages anymore? Nobody fucking even mentions those hostages that were the entire reason for what Israel was doing. The justification for what Israel was doing was because they were trying to get the hostages back, even though Hamas supposedly offered the hostages like the day after October 7th or a couple days after. Like, hey, you just stop bombing us and we'll give you the hostages back. But there came out that in the Druze community, there was some children were at a soccer field playing soccer. And I remember when I heard this, like, this is my thought process. So, the story was that Hezbollah or a Hamas rocket had gotten through and landed dead smack in the middle of this soccer field where these kids were playing, killing 11, right? The 11 tribes or whatever. Or was it the 12? No, 12 tribes. Sorry, it was 12. The 12 children of Israel. Killing 12 children. Killing 12 children. This was all over the place that they killed 12 children. And I told my wife immediately, I was like, there's something else to this story. Because there's no way the Iron Dome just failed. And it just so happens that the rocket lands dead smack in the middle of a soccer field, killing 12 children. Maybe it was 11, I don't know. Whatever. Something just isn't right about this, right? And I said, watch. When it turns out that it's not the narrative that they're pushing, the story will disappear. And after about a week, it came out that the children killed were actually of Druze descent. And the Druze don't claim to be Christian or Jewish. They are Druze. That's their thing. Hi. Hi, buddy. Hi, buddy. What do you think?
I'm sorry.
The little guy. He needs some attention. Huh? He needs attention. Who should I? You want me to give him that?
It sounds corny, but... Here,
he needs attention.
Come here, sweet boy.
He wants to play. He might need to go potty. And so it comes out that that not only were the kids Druze, the Druze are kind of upset about it. Because they don't like the fact that Israel has been claiming.
Thank you. Not too much. Couldn't eat that much.
I'm not giving these to you.
Oh.
Yeah. When it came out that the Druze were mad, and that it was in fact the Druze, right then I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Because they're not going to sacrifice Israeli children like that. Which is also why you knew that the hostages weren't real. Because if there was any chance that there was actually hostages alive being held captive, Israel would have done everything to get them out. A great example of this is in early 2023, there was this friar kid was driving around the West Bank in a Corvette, chasing people, you know, just being an asshole, running people off the road, all kinds of shit, because he was fucking drunk. And he ended up crashing the car and dying on impact. or maybe dying at the hospital or on the way to the hospital, whatever. But the closest hospital was a Gaza hospital, was a Palestinian hospital. So they took him to that hospital where, again, he was pronounced dead. The narrative is that somebody came in and stole the body. There's no footage of it. There's no nothing. But Israel was gearing up and was like, hey, we're going to bring our entire military. We're going to do what they ended up doing with October 7th because somebody stole this body and this body needs to be returned and blah, blah, blah. And what I think happened is, you know, the string pullers were like, hey, we didn't get the response we wanted. I think if we go bring the genocide over a dead body, it's not going to be received like we want. We got to stage something a little bit bigger. And that's when they decided to really lean into the October 7th thing. And suddenly, just before like the deadline, the body shows back up. Again, no footage, no nothing. So basically, Israel just took the body, was going to use it as, when the excuse wasn't received. Well, they were like, oh shit, you know. Well, the body showed back up, so I guess we're not going to do it. But don't worry, we're all geared up for something. We're going to do that. But like I say, the story of the 12 Druze children, or 11 Druze children, whatever it was, they disappeared. That story just went away. Ooh, which thing am I wrong about, Uggo? Got to be more Pacific. They use them to need for their starting ass piece of oil to keep it going. Druze are beautiful, peaceful people. Yeah, they need to soul correct. Nah, we don't need to make those kind of awful jokes, Karen. That shit's nothing funny about soul correct. But it was just disgusting how Israel was like pretended to care, and the world pretended to care when it was the Israeli children that were killed by this random Hamas weapon that somehow got through the defenses, hit dead slab square right in the middle of the field, killing those children. But as soon as it came out that they were the Druze and they were in Israel, but they're not Israeli, they're not Jewish, it just died. The story literally disappears. Like, that'll be the last, if you go look into it, that'll be the last story you see. Turns out the Druze are mad about what's being presented and demanding an apology or whatever, and that's it. That'll be the end of it. Others have suggested he was Druze or Shiite. John Andrew Morrow suggested that a background of Gulat or extremist Shia Islam best fit with what is known of Fard. Yeah, you know, those extremists who don't like pork. Morrow argues Fard most likely was connected to, quote, the religion of Afghanistan, Pakistan, or Bello-Christian. I don't know what the fuck that is. Fard before California. Efforts to trace the origins and life story of Fard have been extensive, but have yielded only inconclusive fragmentary results. At the same time, there's a bunch of documentaries, and they're all basically like the same one, of Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson, the first black heavyweight champion of the world, the fucking greatest of all time, like, Jack Johnson, the fucking man. I don't know how much of that I believe. You know, there's for Jack Johnson to supposedly be the enemy of the white man that he was, there sure are a lot of pictures of this guy that shouldn't exist. especially the ones of him getting arrested before he was Jack Johnson. Now, if those are like remake photos, I don't know. That'd be weird because I think the guy supposedly died. But of course, Jack Johnson's entire, like, the mystique of Jack Johnson, like, he was a badass, he was tough and all that, but he wasn't refined. It was the Jewish guy that he got arrested with and spent time with that made him into the Jack Johnson that he became. Every single story, every single everything always comes back to, well, you know, a Jewish guy did it, right? If it wasn't for the Jewish guy. Are there Druids in IDF? I don't care. Do you ever fear your hateful words against the friars will incite violence against them? Yeah, I kind of hope so. Yeah. I hope we have to fix the problem. And apparently they don't want to be like reasonable. They don't want to make things better. So I don't know how you fix the problem past, reason, logic, compassion, humanity. If you don't want to be a part of humanity, if you're actively working against humanity, and it's not even a we want to be left alone, it's we want to oppress and destroy and control, yeah, that needs to go. Ideally, they would all go, yeah, we're with you. Raping children is unacceptable, and Matitza's fucking gross, and the Talmud is insanity, and Yahweh was a douchebag. Shit is a piece of shit. And it's all just fake fucking control bullshit to keep all of us down, because the majority of the friars are victims too. So I would really, really like it if everybody was like, no, man, we're just here together. Let's make the world a better place for everyone. No one is special. No one is chosen by God and to live in a utopia where the rest of us, they believe that upon the arrival of the Messiah, which for all we know, they could believe has already happened. Every single one of them will have 2,800 of us, 2,800 Gentile slaves. Now, that's how it's presented, because it's so ridiculous that people will just overlook it. Okay? Everybody knows that these weak, simple, inferior friars could never maintain or control 2,800 of us. Right? We are just superior to them in every fucking way. And those who want to think they're smarter than, inbreeding doesn't create intelligence. And so this notion that they're able to maintain and facilitate 2,800 slaves, like, it's ridiculous. It's such a ridiculous idea that nobody would accept it. And that's again, this is one of those examples of them hiding the much worse thing behind something really bad. Because the idea of slavery, 2,800 slaves, that's a horrible idea. But because it's so ridiculous in logistics, it gets overlooked. But they don't believe it like that. They don't believe that it's 2,800, quote, chattel slaves, where we are in bondage and they are physically in control of us. That's not what it means. What they believe is that we, Goyim, will will, realize and accept their spiritual superiority over us, and we will be willing slaves. So we will divide ourselves up and say, all right, each one of them gets 2,800 of us, and we are willingly servants to them. That's what they believe. And that is way worse than the idea of bondage style slaves. That they believe in their superiority so much that we will willingly, be, and really that's, if you look at it, like say, for all we know, they believe it's already happened, which is, if you look, man, we are that. We just don't necessarily know it. I mean, most Americans, you're Christian, and you think that Christianity guides your life, and you are working, essentially you're working for Jesus. And of course, Jesus is them. And if you say, how do you have, like, Israel was always meant to be a utopia. They were going to go there and they were going to live the high life, which doesn't include having some piece of shit job you don't like. And the only way you can actually live in that kind of environment, especially prior to technology, was to have a whole bunch of slaves, which is what the Palestinians have been. But that's what Israel's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a place where they come and they're given their mansion and they're given their stipend, and they do what they want, how they want, where they want. They have they have servants, they have butlers, they have people that do their laundry and all that shit, and they just live their lives. And that's what it was always meant to be. And and the first ones that arrived there thinking that's what it was going to be failed miserably. 1881 to 82, they almost lost it. If it wasn't for Baron Redshield, they would have lost it. He came in and bought everything up and then gave it to them, no strings attached, supposedly. But this whole narrative that we're given in fucking all aspects is just fake. It really is fake. No matter what you look at, it's fake. If I knew it went to the children, maybe, but the friars, no chance. They're just disgusting. They're just disgusting. I love when people say shit like, this guy knows everything. Like that's an insult. Right? The problem is, I know so much more than you that to you it's like I know everything. Even though I'm not talking about everything, I do know a lot about this particular subject, and I can destroy anyone who wants to get into the debate. And that's you basically acknowledging that, but just you're so inbred stupid you think you're making me look bad. All right. Efforts have yielded only inconclusive, fragmentary results, and not even his date of death is known. Further complicating any efforts is the fact that only an inconclusive handful of pictures of Fard are known to exist, including 4 mugshots taken after various arrests, and one being the official portrait by the Nation of Islam. Again, they've had Photoshop forever, so it's not hard, right? At the end of the day, you have to remember, as much as they're crying, I'm using Wikipedia. Wikipedia, I'll let Naftali Bennett, future Prime Minister, former Prime Minister of Israel, long-time, high-ranking operative in Israel. I'll let him tell you.
YTS, in conjunction with My Israel, has arranged an instruction day for wiki editors. The goal of the day is to teach people how to edit in Wikipedia, which is the #1 source of information today in the world. As a way of example, if someone searches the Gaza flotilla, we want to be there. We want to be the guys who influence what is written there, how it's written, and to ensure that it's balanced and Zionist in nature.
I came here to learn.
Okay? So everything on Wikipedia might not be 100% true, but it is the truth that they want us to know, especially when it comes to anything Israel or like important shit like this, right? So just think about that when like all of this is just a manufactured narrative. Why would this guy not exist? Only a handful of pictures? You mean pictures provided by the system? Gosh, that's weird. Strange too how those pictures don't really show like the same guy. It's similar, and we're only talking about a 4-year time span, right? So it's not like he's changing his look that much, right? Ranting, yapping. These are identifiers, people. This is how you know who it is, and like, because apparently if you say they're ranting or you say they're yapping, they get really upset. So keep that in mind if you're ever talking to them. Like, stop your yapping. All you're doing is ranting. Watch their fucking shit explode. Additionally, Fard is alleged to have used up to 58 different aliases during his life. 58? I don't know anybody with a second alias outside of women who got married. 58 different aliases? You know what somebody that has 58 different aliases is considered? A fucking con man. A fucking con man. 58. That is... It's just so stupid. It really is just so stupid that anybody would ever accept this. Especially entire groups of people. Like, the power that Farrakhan wields is almost unrivaled in this world. And it's all based in this bullshit. In the 1960s, authors Arna Bontemps and Jack Conroy speculated that Fard may have been an African American from the U.S. South. Carl Evans of the Washington Post submitted a Freedom of Information Act request to the FBI in 1978, requesting its file on Fard. Evans based his account of Fard's life on the declassified portion of the FBI file that he received about a decade after his request. Oh, good thing you didn't move, huh? Or did he just give him the email address? Why would you trust the FBI's report on anything? Especially if it's 10 years afterward. Like, you submitted the file and they were like, oh shit, we never thought to make a file. Well, we'll take our sweet ass time and we'll make one and put some shit out there and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. 10 years later, they're like, look, here's the file you looked for. Multiple scholars have suggested that Master Fard's teachings of the tribe of Shabazz may have been tied to the shrine of La Shabazz Qualander in Szechuan, Pakistan. Siwan, Pakistan. How do we not know? Right? You would think like somebody this important, there would be like, it would be a pretty easy thing to figure out. Like if you look up Elijah Muhammad's background, no secrets. Now, again, he didn't disappear 4 years after appearing, but whatever. Immigration to the United States. Arian has asserted that W.D. Fard was the person known as Alam Khan. We haven't heard that one yet. Or Kanialam Khan. That's another two. So what are we at? Like 13 or 14? Oh, wait. 58. Forgot. There were 58. A 1904 manifest stated that Jonges, Jonges Khan, Rahim Ullah, Debras Khan, Hamif Ullah, Kanalani Khan, Kanilam Khan, and Sher Khan from British India were traveling aboard the SS Tremont to join their brother in Tacoma. Why would this exist? And how would anybody even begin to associate this with him? It just sounds like you found an old register and you were like, hey, look at these names. We could say any one of these is Wallace Fard, so pick one. Well, what's the weirdest one and the hardest one to fucking sort of pronounce? How about Kanilam, 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 Kanilali, Kanilam. That sounds like a great fucking song, doesn't it? And then you had some girl brought in the background, like, yeah, I can't even do the high voice. That super high. Bing a ding 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 a ling a ding 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 a ling ding ding a ling ding ding. Kanilam kan lam kan kalilam kan kalilam kalilam kan. Oh, we're all weirdos waiting to protect children. Yep. Or wanting to protect children. Full weirdos. Yep. Kalilam kan kalilali kalilam kan. Might have a hit there. Hang on a second. So sorry. Oh, so sorry. Oh, so sorry. So sorry. And they're joining their brother in. We're going to Tacoma, Washington, boy. In 1907, like Washington and all that, like that whole area was just such wilderness back then. 1907, a directory listed Jongi, now it's Jongie, Kalilam, and Zendad Khan as tamale manufacturers who were living together at 36 McBroom Avenue in Spokane. Again, who happened to find the 1907 directory and was like, oh yeah, there's those tamale guys. That must be Wallace Fard Muhammad. Good thing we have this record. Now we have proof. See, this is the kind of shit that they always do, where they just throw this kind of shit out and hope that you don't think too deeply on it, know that you won't think too deeply on it, and just, move fast. They're going to bombard you with a bunch of shit, and you're going to, you're just going to, at 36 McBroom, right? They know the address, but they don't know any other details. Jangger, Jangger Khan, died on August 6, 1910 in Butte, Montana, where he had been a tamale vendor. Who the fuck is keeping track of the tamale vendors? Guys are walking around with a tamale fucking stand or truck or whatever the fuck it is. And the government's like, hey, better be out there counting those guys. Shit, that's my favorite one. What happened? He died. Aw, man. Write that shit down. Jonger fucking died. August 6th, 1910. Gotta have that. We need that for posterity. 116 years late from now, some guy will be looking up one of the most famous people of history, or at least somebody that was the founder of one of the most famous aspects of history, at least the 1900s. People today forget just how crazy the Nation of Islam, scary the Nation of Islam was to white people for such a long time. But they needed to have the tamale vendors because that's how you know he was a tamale vendor. I mean, we're talking about 1907. They were living together in Spokane, Washington, I would assume, right? They're not really telling us the state. They keep telling us the city. And now, 3 years later, this other guy that hasn't been mentioned yet dies in Butte, Montana, where he was also a tamale vendor. So apparently, the 1910s and shit, the 19aughts and then the 1910s, people really gave a shit about their tamale vendors. Like, I wonder how many tamale vendors the government keeps track of now, so that in 116 years, somebody's going to be able to look it up and be like, hey, that Jesus Sanchez, fucking tamale vendor down in Detroit. He served great tamales. He only worked on like, busy weekends and shit, but this manifest here says he was good at it. So, mentioning that Jangger Khan died on August 6, 1910 in Butte, Montana, where he had been a tamale vendor, is just a sentence they throw in. It has nothing to do with any of this. Because the next sentence is, in 1911, Sher Khan. You see, you get it, right? Sher Khan. Fucking Jungle Book. The leopard. Isn't it a leopard? That's the bad guy, Sher Khan. Sherkhan. His name is Sher Khan. 1911, Sher Khan of Portland. Now we're back in Portland, Oregon. Again, I would assume travel in the 1910s in that region of the United States was difficult. But apparently, either these guys are traveling and that's why it's connected, or these are just the only people in the United States that had that name and were tamale vendors, so somehow they're included in this shit. Right? What do you think about the bread and circus? I don't even know who's in it. In 1911, Sher Khan of Portland applied for citizenship, reporting a birthplace of Balochistan. Balochistan is a should be an historical region in West and South Asia located in the Iranian plateaus far southeast and bordering the Indian Plate and the Arabian Sea coastline. This arid region of desert and mountains is primarily populated by ethnic Bulak people. The Bulakistan, that's what it is. Bulakistan is very significant because of its strategic location, mineral wealth, long coastline along the Arabian Gulf, and the Gulf of Oman, and potential for discoveries of oil and gas. So, I guess now it's what's considered Afghanistan, Iran, and Pakistan. Interesting, isn't it? Very interesting. Seems like there's another region that might be included in that area. Bulakistan is among the earliest human settlements in the world, and the oldest evidence of human occupation in it is dated to the Paleolithic era. Evidence includes hunting camps, lithic scatter. Lithic scatter consists of primarily of lithic flakes and other stone tool use remnants. Scatter occurs in surface areas that have been often used, disturbed by agriculture or natural events. Lithic scatters are used to study past inhabitants and are often the only evidence remaining. Lithic scatter is an indicator of Paleolithic or Mesolithic occupation. Techniques are used to evaluate the technologies that were employed and to date the scatter. Scatter can include relics from multiple historic periods. I'm not really sure what it is still. Lithic flakes. A lithic flake is a portion of a rock removed from an objective piece by percussion of pressure. So it's the shit that flakes off when you're like carving something. So they're saying that the evidence of settlement, human settlement, are hunting camps, which, what the fuck could that, what does that entail? Lithic scatter, so little pieces of rock, and chipped and flaked stone tools. So just, like, again, it's just bullshit. Yeah, humans were here. Look, these rocks. Look at how these rocks are sitting here. Look, see, these are like little chippy flakes from a human making tools by banging rocks together. So he was making like tools. What do you mean by tools? Like a sharp rock, and then like a hammer rock. They're tools, tools. This makes sense, doesn't it? On February 23rd, 1917, we're back to Wallace fired. On February 23rd, 1917, press reported a court had denied Sher Khan's application for citizenship on the ground that his stated birthplace, Bulakistan, was, quote, not of the white race. So you don't get to be a citizen in 1917. What? And that was 6 years after his application went in. Again, so he applies for citizenship on like this piece of paper, and then the piece of paper travels by like horse So, like a big ass, you know, huge fucking monolithic castle palace that we call a government building, where they still, nobody will tell you how they heated those things. But, or saw inside them once you got away from the windows. But apparently they just went into a filing cabinet. And then one day, somebody was like, hey, what about this Shere Khan guy from Portland who says he's from Bulak? It doesn't matter. It's not from the white race anyway. Boom. Nope, denied. Like, what does this have to do with Wallace Fard Muhammad? Shere Khan's World War draft registration listed him as residing in Eugene, Oregon. How do you get drafted when you're not a citizen? What? What the fuck are we talking? How do you even know, like, it's 1921, huh? Or no, it's World War, so it's 1917. 18. Draft registration listed him as residing in Eugene, Oregon, quote, working as a tamale maker. Oh, they love their tamales. He listed his nearest relative as Fardis Khan, Fardes, of Bulakistan, Afghanistan. In 1921, the marriage certificate of Joe Mobine Khan lists his birthplace as Afghanistan, his father as Matty Khan, and his mother Mary G.E.E. Fard was later a tamale vendor in Oregon. What? The fuck does that mean? That was the end of the paragraph. The new paragraph starts with, however, in 2025, sorry. Gee. I wonder if this was after I had made my video. Read the book of Enoch. Why? So stupid. New research by Kevin Morris and Anton Beatty shows that the immigrant Alam Khan, or Kalilamakan Kalilam Khan Kalilali, was not Fard, as he later took the name Khan Ali, Alley, Alley, and died on November 19th, 1958 in Lodi, California. Bates and Morris uncovered a manifest revealing that someone named Wally Dad, D-A-D, Khan, aged 18, traveled from Hong Kong to San Francisco in 1907 on the SS... Oh my God. On the SS Copic, C-O-P-I-C. Oh, come on. This is fucking insane. And around 6th or 7th, 1907, he was listed as an Indian, a Mohammedan, and from Gunzi. Gunzi, historically known as Ganzanya, or Ganzan, I don't know how to say it, or Gazna, also translated in as Gunzi, and anciently known as Alexandria in Opania, is a city in southeastern Afghanistan, serving as the capital of the Ghazni province. It is within the jurisdiction of Ghazni district and has an estimated population of 205,965 people exactly. Mawalala Muhammad Nabi Hamzan is the current mayor of the city. That's where it looks like from the map. And I guess this is the best picture that we can get. Kind of looks like California. That's the best picture we can get. So obviously there's an ancient something there, a melted fucking building. Well, that front wall looks like this thing was a lot bigger than just that one little thing that survived. Oh my god, the whole thing is a castle. It is a castle wall. Look at that. Totally people built that. No problem. He was also planning to visit relatives named Gul Ahmed Khan and Najib Khan. Najib Khan, born around 1872, listed his father in 1912 as Akram Khan and birthplace as Kruzai Hazro district of Atak, formerly known as Campbellpur, is a city in Punjab, Pakistan. Punjab. Yeah, just more of the same. Love to see us build something like this today. Into the mountain like that. Those pillars of an ancient bridge still there. On the same 1912 manifest was listed a Qadir Khan who was planning to visit his relative or friend, Wale, W-A-L-E, Dad, D-A-D. Yeah, all these people would just have to be the same person. Right? I mean, their names sound similar, so that means they're the same person. It's a good thing that no one today shares the same name. Like, there's probably only one Mike Williams out there. There's probably only one John Smith. So any historical person from 100 fucking years from today, John Smith was literally at all of these places at the same time. He must have been really fucking awesome. Haifa. Interesting. Why are there so many friars so obsessed with me? Especially since I'm like, really, I'm not even talking about them right now. It's weird how even when I'm not talking about them, they're still talking about me. What is Haifa? Bet you don't know. With your real profile. Let's see. Joined 5 years ago and has no subscribers. That is a real person right there. 5 years ago, no subscribers, and happens to be here today. Interesting. On the same 1912 manifest, in 1911, because I guess we're going backwards, Qadir Khan also named his friend Wale Dad Khan. In 1909, a man named Sargand from Shnika, India, stated he was going to visit his friend Wali, W-A-L-I, Dodd, at a tamale factory located on 61 Water Street in Portland, Oregon. I mean, are you serious right now? This is the founder of the Nation of Islam. In his entire existence, prior to being that guy, was being like a tamale guy. Where obviously, as a tamale guy, you're going to get knowledge of the world, right? Like, I know every time I'm like downtown and I see a tamale vendor and he can barely answer any of my questions or anything. It's like, I bet you this guy's going to found a fucking religion. Bet you this guy will be one of the most powerful men, a couple years. Or at least theoretically, one of the most powerful men in the country. Sargand lived with Roshan Din, who came to the United States to visit Fadi Din, the same man who fared under the name Fred Dodd, D-A-D, or Fred Dad, D-A-D, sued in 1910. Are you keeping track of all this? Going back and forth? 1910, 1912, 1909, 19... So a guy named Fred Dad sued a guy named Fadi Din in 1910, and that, like, we lost the telemetry data to go to the moon in 1960. Well, not just 19. How we went to the moon the whole time. We lost all the how we did it, all the nuts and bolts, all the proof. The greatest achievement known to man, impossibly done in 1969, that shit was lost. But that a man named Fred Dad sued Fadi Din in 1910, we got that. That's good, we got that. In 1910, a man named Budar Khan stated he was from Ghazni, Afghanistan. His father was named Abdul Aziz, and that he would visit Wali, W-A-L-I, Dad Khan, at the tamale factory at 61 Water Street. Muhammad Albert Khan, who was alongside Wali, W-A-L-L-I-E, Dad Khan in 1907, later stated he was planning to visit his brothers Najib and Gul Ahmed Khan. This is just fucking stupid. And it's meant to be confusing, and it's meant to be goofy and all that. So you just say, fuck it. I'm going to just trust the narrative. I know it doesn't make any sense, but... I'm proud of my anti-Semitism. There's nothing anti-Semitic about me. You got to get your stupidity correct if you want to, if you want to make real headway here. Yeah. No anti-Semitic anything here. We proudly support the Palestinian people, the Iranian people, the Syrian people, the Lebanese people, the Yemeni people, all of the Semitic people of the region. The Egyptian people, Moroccan people, fucking black, all those people. The people that are being invaded by anti-Semitic people, by an anti-Semitic cult. No, not right now. That's like, I support that because I'm anti-Semitism, right? The Semitism cult that's trying to destroy the Semitic people is a cancer on the world. And so that's the whole point, is we have to destroy the pedophilic genocidal cult. No, I told you to stop asking me for shit. In September 1907, Tamale man Wally Had met Harvey H. Henline, who bought some tamales from Wally Had, but refused to pay for them. When Wally Had demanded the money, Henline originally struck him, leading to him being taken into custody for disorderly conduct. This charge was later dismissed. That's the Wally Had tamale vendor section. Fred Billy Dad, Eugene tamale vendor. On March 11th, 1908, Fred Billy Dad, the hot tamale vendor, ordered a fine tamale wagon for around $150, which he expected to receive from Vancouver. Did you have any idea that tamales were such an important part of 1900s, Northwest culture? I had no fucking idea. And if you would have asked me, I would have thought tamales were Mexican, like Mexican food. I had no idea they were Pakistani, Afghanistani. I don't fucking know what you're considering these people. Here's the declaration of intention that the United States government just happened to keep regarding said tamale vendor's purchase. Oh no, that's an immigration record dated May 26, 1909 for Wally Fred Dad, restaurateur opening in Eugene, Oregon. Another person. Remember, this dude supposedly had 58 different aliases. 58 different personalities to keep track of. 1908, papers announced that Turkish tamale vendor Fred Waldad, another name, had received a small house on wheels. 1908, they made houses on wheels? How did they deliver them? With what? Horses? Eugene newspapers announced a new lunch cart, a cart owned by Fred the Turk. Okay. 4 days later, press reported that Fred had been ordered to move his hot tamale cart to a new location. The newspapers of 1908 are running stories about tamale vendors. That was news. Oh, a tamale vendor was ordered to move down the street by Chaim Rothstein, reporter for the fucking Portland Times. Are you kidding me right now? Why are newspapers reporting about tamale vendors twice in a week? Like, what? Just what the fuck are we talking about here? Nation of tamale, indeed. By September 15th, it was reported, another report, that Fred the Turk had to abandon his cart due to the order and was now operating out of the back of a cigar store? The news is reporting this shit? And he just oh wow, I didn't think it was gonna come back. Oh wow, I didn't think it was gonna come back. Sure, we lost a whole shit ton of people because of it. Well, that's really convenient, don't you think? Shit getting a little too real. We were at 12 and 12, because that would make sense. But after that, like 30 seconds, I'm sure a ton of people were like, oh, I guess it's over. I would have been. Breaking news. Tamale vendor moves to cigar store. Indeed. Front page fucking story. Like, seriously. You can hate me all you want. Tell me why this makes sense. On September 18th, Fred the Greek, now a different name, tamale vendor, another tamale vendor, was reported to have paid a license fee, and it was announced that his stand would resume operation at a new location. Tamales were everything in Oregon's community back then, apparently. Why would he be Fred the Greek now? You know, it almost sounds like it's a different person. But I guess that would be foolish, right? That would be fucking foolish. How many tamale stories was the fucking news reporting on back then? Like, were there the tamale wars of the fucking 1910s in Oregon that nobody talks about? There's plenty of wars that we don't know about. The banana wars and shit. Maybe there's a tamale war too. Between Fred the Greek and Fred the Turk, who were in fact the same person. It makes about as much sense, doesn't it? He was reported to have paid a license fee and was like, don't worry, everybody. 3 days ago, we told you about Fred the Turk abandoning his cart and moving to a cigar store. That was 3 days ago. Now, that same guy going by Fred the Greek paid a license fee, and now he's going to resume operation at a new location. Is that in the tamale truck that he abandoned 3 days earlier? Seriously. What in the fuck are we talking about here? Dude, it went that way. Dude. He's so stupid. In October, newspapers announced that Fred the Turk was traveling to Portland for a visit. Not just one. Several newspapers were like, hey, Fred the Turk is going to Oregon for a visit. So you won't be able to get Fred the Turk's tamales, who also are Fred the Greek tamales. Are we fucking serious? I don't know, were passports a thing back then? Stop. On November 3rd, more newspapers reported on a Halloween prank in which local boys took the wheels off Fred the Turk's tamale wagon and dropped it, breaking Fred's dishes and eggs, as well as injuring Fred himself. The wheel was stolen. What? And they broke my dishes and my eggs, and I fell down and I hurt my knee, and the wheel was stolen. You gotta be kidding me. Oh my God. Oh, look at that shit. Right. This is fucking insane. Running black market shit in Oregon back in the 20s were known as the tamale mob. Wait, is that true? Why was he called Fred the Greek one time in the newspapers that reported about tamale dealers in Oregon at the time? Oh my God. What was the printing process like back then? You would think it would be pretty expensive. But I mean, the thing is, if you look up Eugene, Oregon in 1908, you're going to see like this sprawling fucking city that don't make no sense. And you would think there would probably be more than one tamale dealer. But apparently this was the tamale dealer. And they broke my dishes and my eggs. Oh, it was messy. It was a horrible mess. I had to clean that for hours. Got little bits of eggs stuck everywhere. And I fell because I slipped in the eggs. And then I broke more dishes on the way down. Oh, man. And the wheel was stolen. What wheel was stolen? Like the steering wheel? I mean, do you mean the wheels were stolen? On December 7th, newspapers reported on Fred's petition to have his cart operating during the day as well as at night. I'm standing out here with Fred the Turk, and he's telling us that the demand for his tamales is so great that he would like to be able to sell them both day and night. Is that true, Fred? Well, yeah. Okay. Well, can you elaborate? Well, they won't let me serve them at nighttime, and there are people that are hungry at nighttime. Not everybody just goes to sleep when the sun goes down, you know. So you're saying you want to sell your tamales when it gets dark too? Yes. How's your cart doing? Since those horrible boys broke all your dishes and your eggs, and I fell down, and I got a big crack in my ass. Oh man. On February 3rd, 1909, you know, they were saying back then, like, 1908 was great, but 1909, woo, buddy, just you wait. 1909 is going to be a stellar year for the tamale, I'll tell you what. Newspapers reported that Fred the Turk had sold his lunch wagon. September 8th is when they announced the new lunch cart would be opening adjacent to the cart owned by Fred the Turk. Wait, that's Fred Walladad. That's a different Fred. So 4 days later is when they reported that had been ordered to move his hot tamale cart. So that'd be like September 12th, but by September 15th, 3 days later, that he had abandoned his cart and is operating it at the cigar store. And then September 18th, 3 days later, he's now paid a licensing fee and now he's stand to open in the original location. October, he goes to Portland for a visit, but he must be back by Halloween because that's when the prank takes place. But the reports were on November 3rd. By December 7th, he wants to operate his cart both day and night. And then 3 months later, on February 3rd, he sold his luncheon wagon and gone to Cotton Grove, Oregon, where he had leased a restaurant and lodging house. I mean, seriously, what? Who hears what I'm saying and thinks this all just makes perfect sense? Why was he petitioning to run day or night if he had to be already in talks? Like, you don't just drop your tamale gig and then go open up a restaurant and a lodging house, a hotel, 3 months late. Like, what? I mean, it's stupid. On May 26th, 1909, this guy is a mover and a shaker, baby. March, April, May, another 3 months. They like their 3 months in this storyline. May 26th, Wally, W-A-L-I, Fred, Dad, D-A-D, restaurateur of Eugene. Give me this. Applied for citizenship in the United States. He reported being a white man born in Hong Kong, China, February 14th, 1882, who arrived in San Francisco in January of 1904. The interesting thing is, ow, shit, you got me. Wow. Reported being a white man, but I don't remember what I was going to say. In the document, he had renounced allegiance to King Alfonso VIII of Spain. The next day, Eugene newspapers reported that Fred Mali, M-A-L-I, Dad, a Spaniard, had filed citizenship papers. I mean, this is fucking stupid. In 1910, Fred Conn, Conn. His name is Fred Conjub. Jub. No, it's not Conjub, it's Conjub. Fred Conn of Afghan is listed in the U.S. Census in Missoula, Montana, like 1,000 miles away. And in that's 1910. That was when all the other shit was happening. Yeah, 1910. That was when the guy was sued. Oh, 1908 was when the cart thing was happening. 1909 is when he sold it. 1910, he's in Missoula, Montana. And a 1915 article noted that the tamale vendor, Walli, dad, lived in Billings, Montana around 1910, indicating Dodd moved to Montana for a short time. Yeah, that's what it indicates. That at some point in that year, where all that shit was happening, he moved to Billings, Montana for a short time. You know, to rock. What the fuck are we talking about? From the FBI's response to the Freedom of Information Act request, Evans claimed that Fard was Fred Dodd, an Oregonian tamale vendor. A 1911 directory lists Fred Dad, D-A-D-D, as tamale vendor in Salem. In 1912, a 1912 directory lists him as living with a person named Anna, A-N-A. On July 28th, 1912, more newspapers. Remember, it's not that a newspaper reports this. It's that newspapers are reporting this. Reported that a house occupied by lunch wagon operator Fred Dad, D-A-D-D, had caught fire. Okay, so, maybe a fucking lunch truck catching fire. Yeah, okay, maybe that's a pretty newsworthy story. On August 9th, 1912, so like 13 days later or so, the Salem, Oregon newspapers reported on Fred Dad, D-A-D-D, local tamale vendor and naturalized American citizen originally from New Zealand, attending his first baseball game. Why are tamale vendors' lives so goddamn important in Oregon in the early 1910s? They're literally saying multiple newspapers reported on a tamale vendor attending his first baseball game. This is the proof of the existence of the guy that founded the Nation of Islam. like I keep saying, you can hate me all you want. But from a logical standpoint, you can't honestly tell me this makes sense to you guys. Tabasco! I'm serious. This is just shocking. I mean, I really just don't. I feel like I'm almost being punked here. Like, there's no way anybody honestly thinks this shit makes any sense. She played around, scrap, 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 scrap. She played around up to her knees. She played the red town of Chicago. She played the ride and follow with me. I can't remember that song. Peace Frog. That'd be a good one to redo. If Charles had that funky side to him, but he doesn't. He'd make it all fucking scary. Alright, let's see. On April 18th, so August 9th, 1912, April 18th, 1913, this in the newspaper every 6 months or so. Less than that a lot of times. The Salem, Oregon City Council reported unfavorably on Dodd's request to sell fruit without requiring an additional license. I just can't imagine why anyone would believe this shit. Why you would believe that the newspapers are reporting on this shit. Like some guy sitting in his fucking barely lit, barely heated house. Or the other side, the Gothic style castle mansion with the fucking radium fireplace. And he's just got his little corncob pipe and he's got candles everywhere because, I mean, electricity wasn't. Well, electricity hit and it was just everywhere suddenly, I guess. So I don't know where we put that. But still, sitting there in his really uncomfortable looking furniture. And he's I just thought, so last night my kid and I are watching The Godfather, and like in this house we fast forward through the scene at this point because I just don't like watching a 30-year-old Al Pacino playing a 26-year-old Michael Corleone who's marrying a 15 or 16-year-old girl pretending to be a 17 or 18-year-old girl. Her real name is Simonetta. Like, we're looking at adults and like you can so the narrative is they separated her from her mom. Her mom was real strict about everything, but they somehow got her separated from her mom. And they took her in this room to do this scene, and she didn't even know what she was doing. And until the time came, and you can see like the sort of the fear and uncomfortable aspects in her. Like, you would think this girl is really acting. Well, no, it's her first. It's the first take. And her fear and her uncomfortableness is coming through because that's what's literally happening. And then there's that animal fucking prey, trying to get its prey look in Al Pacino's eyes. And who knows what got cut. because the scene fades out, but there's plenty that was not allowed to be in that. You got to cancel The Godfather. The Godfather is fucking child exploitation materials. Like no, if I send you The Godfather, I am literally breaking that law. You are watching a 30-year-old man fool around with a 15 or 16-year-old. I think she's 15 at the time. She's 16 when it comes out, but she's 15 when it's when it's filming. And that's why her chest looks so fucking weird. Right? But just before that scene, they're like doing the wedding thing, and there's this one scene where there's like a big church or building type, whatever it is. I don't know. Hi, little buddy. Huh? Hey. But it's one of these buildings that has it has one big ass door that halfway up the door, the human door opens, but like obviously it's a door built for a much larger person or thing to go through. And then on either side are these two smaller doors. Like those must be the servant doors. That just popped in my head as I was reading this. Sorry. Because I was thinking about it last night. Like, I gotta tell the guys this. Or my peoples this. On April 29th, Dodd, D-O-D-D, penned an announcement in the newspaper complaining about police harassment for fruit sales. The newspaper is reporting the complaints of people for illegally selling fruit. Where was he getting his fruit from? In June, it was reported that Dodd's complaint of police harassment would be investigated by the police committee of 1909. Or 1913, sorry. After the committee reported and the report was adopted, the mayor instructed the police to allow Dodd to sell his wares. This is the Nation of Islam guy. In September 1913, Dodd filed a criminal complaint against Frank Day, alleging that Frank Day had embezzled funds from him. Day was fined $25 and given a suspended sentence. Frank Day. Man, it sure is a good thing all these newspapers reported on all this random shit, because otherwise there'd be no history of this guy. You know, all these different people with sort of similar sounding names that can be sewn together using belief and fairy tale. On March 5th, 1914, so a year later, baby, he was almost out for a year. No, 6 months, sorry. Dodd was arrested for allegedly inducing Laura E. Swanson to leave her spouse for him. What? He was released on $1,000 bond. It's a lot of money back then, boy. A March 23rd report in what? Cited Dodd's charge as assaulting a married woman. What? On April 21st, a jury acquitted Dodd. This went to trial. The Capital Journal explained the verdict by saying, It was brought out in the cross-examination of the complaining witness that there was another person in the house at the time of the alleged assault and that she did not cry for help as a person in her circumstances would be aroused. What? So are we talking about a sexual assault here? She did not cry for help as a person in her circumstances would be aroused. That doesn't sound like a very, that's not very good evidence that an assault didn't take place. On April 20th, 1914, the day before his acquittal, Dodd married Pearl Allen in Multnomah County, Oregon. What? How? Wasn't he, locked up or some shit? However, by August 30th, newspapers reported on divorce proceedings between the two. Who the fuck is this tamale vendor that the entire Oregon community is like, it sounds like he's the mayor or some shit, but he's just the tamale guy. A tamale guy. On November 14th, 1914, Dodd was arrested for larceny after allegedly stealing from his wife Pearl, whom he was suing for divorce. Their divorce was announced on December 27th. Who is announcing divorces? That was a thing back then? Divorces would be announced in the fucking Capital Journal newspapers, multiple newspapers. Pearl gave birth to a son the following year. Oh, I guess it was November, so. A 2024 DNA test may suggest that this son was not biologically descended from Dodd. What? It may have, if you decide to write it that way. What did you test? Oh, his Boodle Bops. Yeah, he had a jar of Boodle Bops. Most people don't know what Boodle Bops are, but everyone has a jar. It just has to be hidden. And you don't know you have it. But it's an identifier if somebody wants to DNA test 100 years later. On November 22nd, 1915, the Statesman Journal, it's another newspaper, announced that Dodd planned a vacation to California and all the big eastern cities. California and all the eastern cities. They're not the same. But again, the tamale vendor is going on vacation, everyone. We know you're wondering what his big plans are. Noting that this was his, quote, first vacation in 6 years. Well, we would have known because the newspapers would have reported on it. The newspaper described him as, quote, the genial Turkish lad, and mentioned that Fred Dodd, quote, had a lot of friends around the Statesman office. Made good tamales. His first stop was in San Francisco, with plans to travel to Los Angeles, San Diego, New Orleans, New York, and Chicago, among others. You know, with all his riches from his tamale business. He was a very rich man. And really, travel back then was like no problem. On December 19th, 1915, it was reported that Fred Dodd's night lunch wagon had been purchased at an at an attachment sale to justify a judgment of $132.07 held against Fred by a resident of Billings, Montana. He's rich. He can travel the world. Why didn't he just pay his $137.07 fine? Or $132.07. Always throwing in your 32s and shit. Well, 1 plus 32 is 33. And that's just a piece. What? Okay, what? What, are you hungry? Yeah. Or you gotta go potty. Which one is it? Let's go potty. So here's one of his mugshots. Looking like a fucking IDF terrorist. Here's the one mugshot. And then here's the other mugshot.
Whose mugshot?
Your mom.
Oh.
Who's in there?
Me.
Open it.
Hey, Jay. Oh, yes, so?
Yeah. Good thanks.
Don't act like you don't like me.
Oh, he must be hungry. Come here. Come on, let's go.
Skitty. I think he responds more to us, but to skitty than spaghetti.
Where's she? She must be out front.
Purple.
Can you do a bottle, please?
With this treasure.
Hi, my Tootie. Hi, Tootie. It's a big guy. No, how many are you going to eat today?
2.
You sure?
Yes.
Can you hold this until Mom gets in?
It's a person.
It's not.
I thought it.
Okay, so you're telling me this is not the same picture, just photoshopped. Ready?
Whose mugshot is it?
Doesn't matter, dude. You're telling me that's not the same picture? It's easier, I guess, this way. Like exact same angle and everything. That's the same fucking picture. It's just photoshopped. Apparently this is them being all goofy in front of a building that nobody should have been able to build. I mean, it's seriously, this is the exact same shot. This is just a much cleaner version. Look. Exact same shot. You think they got his head just exactly the same perfect turn? You know, that 1918, they're just really good about that shit. 1940, they're exact with that shit. Look at the head turn. It's the exact same. I mean, it's bad Photoshop. Look at that cheek. What is that there? That looks like bad mapping, bad Photoshop. A plastic bag. The fuck is that around? He looks like he has a plastic bag around his neck. Like he's sticking out of a garbage bag. I'm really getting tired of this. And I want to finish. All right, Wally Dodd Ford, Los Angeles entrepreneur. So this is the 1926 mugshot. And then this one is a mugshot from 1926 from San Quentin. Okay. Dodd moved to Los Angeles using the name Wally, W-A-L-L-I-E, Dodd Ford, a World War I draft registration card for Wally Dodd Fard from 1917 indicated he was living in Los Angeles, unmarried, as a restaurant owner, and reported that he was born in Shinka, Afghanistan on February 26th, 1893. I mean, how would you even begin to keep track of all these different aliases and all these different dates and shit? There's an episode of, oh, maybe it's CSI. No, it's Criminal Minds, I think. And this guy, actually, I believe it's is it Superman? I think Superman's playing the character. You know, Lois and Clark, Superman guy. Maybe it just looks like him. But he plays a guy who's a con man and who is, you know, known by like 8 different identities. And he has a wife and a kid, but he has all these girlfriend, wives, and whatever. And he starts to break down trying to keep track of it all. And he's got like 8. This guy had 58 different aliases, and he's got to keep track of all of them. Make sure all the birth dates are the same. Whenever he's asked the right question, where were you here? What's this? Like, it just seems so crazy. And if it really was this easy to just be whoever the fuck you wanted to be whenever you wanted to be that way, how do you trust anybody's history? What is it? You just want me to hold you? I think Mom's gonna bring your bottle up, buddy. Scatty. What? I don't have a bottle for you yet. You just want some kisses? Yeah. You just want to hang out? Alright. He further reported that he was a resident alien and citizen of Afghanistan. He was described as being of medium height and build with brown eyes and black hair. On the draft card, Ford is written in parentheses in a different hand. At the bottom of the card, he signed his name as Wally, A-L-L-I-E, Dodd, D-O-D-D, Ford. Ford was arrested by Los Angeles police on November 17, 1918, on a charge of assault with a deadly weapon. As of 1920, Ford was still living in Los Angeles as 26-year-old Wally, W-A-L-L-I-E, D. Ford, with his 25-year-old wife, Hazel E. Ford. In the 1920 United States Census, his race was reported as white, his occupation as a proprietor of a restaurant, and his birthplace as New Zealand. What are you seeing up there, bub? Are you chasing the shadows? It's just shadows, dude. Ow. Alright, I guess this is what we're doing. He provided no known place of birth for his parents, nor his date of immigration. A marriage certificate dated June 5th, 1924, was issued to Wally Dodd Ford and Carmen Trevino in Santa Ana, California. Ford reported that he was a cook, age 26, born in Oregon and living in Los Angeles. Trevino was a 22-year-old native of Mexico, also living in LA. Both provided their race as Spanish. Ford claimed that his parents, Zaradad and Babji, were natives of Madrid, Spain. Right, because he's just going into that sort of detail. Yeah. Ford was arrested again on January 20th, 1926, for violation of the California Wool Wine Possession Act, and on February 15th, 1926, for violation of the State Poison Act. After his second arrest, a Spanish language paper in Los Angeles described him as a street politician. Ford was sentenced to 6 months to 6 years at San Quentin Prison on June 12, 1926. According to San Quentin records, Wally D. Ford was born in Portland, Oregon on February 25th, 1891. The white son of Zared and Beatrice Ford, who were both born in Hawaii. Ford was paroled from San Quentin on May 27th, 1929. 3 years in the fucking pokey, man. In 1934, so we're just going to jump 5 years. After Fard Muhammad had departed Detroit, Wally Ford visited Hazel Burton, the mother of his child, in Los Angeles. She recalled him only eating 1 meal per day as part of his new lifestyle. Ford gave her self-threading needles in a box from the Marcel Chemical Company. Knight notes the company sold hair straightener. What? Who the fuck is Knight? Why did we just switch to this? The Nation of Islam contests the claim that Wallace Fard Muhammad and Wally Dodd Ford were the same person. In addition to his assertion that Fard was Ford, Evans also said that Fard was once a member of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The Moorish Science Temple. That's an interesting combination. Citing as a primary source the 1945 publication by Arnan Bontemps and Jack Conroy, titled They Seek a City. Authors have also cited EU Essen Udum. Her initials are EU for this proposition as well. And it's EU just by chance. They got married to somebody with what? Who? If somebody introduced themselves to you as EU, would you fucking be like, what's your name though? I'm not calling you EU. 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 Who? What the fuck world is this? In his 1962 book, Black Nationalism, the Search for an Identity, he wrote, or Essen Udum wrote, I don't know if that's a dude or not. Noble Drew Ali was shot and stabbed in his offices at the Unity Club, in Chicago on the night of March 15, 1929. He was eventually released on bond. Who? He was released on bond after being shot and stabbed? He was eventually released on bond, but a few weeks later he died under mysterious circumstances. Who? The guy that was shot and stabbed? I bet he died from being shot and stabbed. Some people claim that he died from injuries inflicted by the police while he was in jail. Others, however, suggested that he was killed by Sheikh Claude Green's partisans. For some time, one W.D. Fard assumed leadership of the Moorish movement. According to Bontemps and Conroy, Fard claimed that he was the reincarnation of Noble Drew Ali by 1930. How can you be the reincarnation of someone that was alive at the same time as you? This don't make no sense. By 1930, a permanent split developed in the movement. One faction, the Moors, remained faithful to Noble Drew Ali, and the other, which is now led by Elijah Muhammad, remains faithful to Prophet Fard, Master Wallace Fard Muhammad. However, Minister Malcolm X and other leaders of the Nation of Islam have emphatically denied any past connection whatsoever of Elijah Muhammad, Master Wallace Fard Muhammad, or their movement with the Noble Drew Ali's Moorish American Science Temple. What the fuck? I wonder if this is the thing that believes that black people are the descendants of Moabites. Hang on, let me just see. Yep, here we go. The Moorish Science Temple of America is an American national and religious organization founded by Noble Drew Ali, born Timothy Drew. Hey, why, if they're different things, were they all naming themselves, like naming their congregations the same thing? In the early 20th century, he based it on the premise that African Americans are descendants of the Moabites and thus Moorish by nationality and Islamic by faith. Black people come from the offspring of Lot and his 12-year-old daughter. That's what you push on your own people. Like, what kind of fucked up asshole is that? Well, at least this guy looks like a black dude in his goofy ass outfit. All the same symbolism, all the same goofy shit, but black guy with a Hitler stash. Black guy with a Hitler stash. Black guy with a Hitler stash. Yeah. Oh, let's see. On the question of a connection between the Nation of Islam and the Moorish Science Temple of America, Benyon, who the fuck is Benyon? Benyon hasn't come up yet, but Benyon wrote, awakened already to a consciousness of race discrimination, these migrants from the South came in contact with militant movements among northern Negroes. Practically none of them had been in the North prior to the collapse of the Marcus Garvey movement. A few of them had come under the influence of the Moorish American cult, which succeeded it. Why would they ever want to be in the north? It's fucking cold. 4 viewers, 4 likes. Nobody gives a shit about this, right? A few of them have come. The effect of both these movements. Upon the future members of the Nation of Islam was largely indirect. Garvey taught the Negroes that their homeland was Ethiopia. The noble Drew Ali, the prophet of the Moorish Americans, proclaimed that these people were descendants of Moroccans. Where did they get their information from? Did they look it up online and come up with their own thing? Like, seriously, do you know how difficult information was to come across back then? Or at least theoretically should have been. Apparently it wasn't, but it should have been. Benyon further wrote, the prophet's message was characterized by his ability to utilize the fullest measure the environment of his followers. Utilize to the fullest measure the environment of his followers. Their physical and economic difficulties alike were used to illustrate the new teaching. Similarly, biblical prophecies and the teachings of Marcus Garvey and Noble Drew Ali were cited as foretelling the coming of the new prophet. Bowen rejects the claim that Fard was a member of the MSTA as unsubstantiated. So he rejects the rejection. Fucking Benyon. The FBI's claims about Fard. A declassified FBI memorandum dated May 16th, 1957 states, from a file of instant file, it does not appear that there has been a concerted effort to locate and fully identify W.D. Fard. Instant file. Is that what they called their internet back then? We just didn't know about it? Instant file? Kind of fits, doesn't it? Inasmuch as Elijah Muhammad recognizes W.D. Fard as being Allah, God, and claims that Fard is the source of all his teachings, it is suggested that an exhaustive effort be made to fully identify and locate W.D. Fard and or members of his family. Yeah, you would think so. You'd have to ask, like, so this God character, him, where did he get all of his teachings from? Where did he get all of his information from? The FBI took note of the article written by Erdman Doan. Erdman Doan Benyon. He's not blue, though. We don't get to find out who he is. And it conducted a search for Fard using various aliases, including the name Ford. On October 17th, 1957, the FBI located and interviewed Hazel Barton Ford, Wally Ford's common-law wife, with whom he had a son named Wallace Dodd Ford, born on September 1st, 1920. This son, later also known as Wallace Max Ford, died in 1942. 22 years old. Jesus. That's a convenient nip and tuck, huh? He was serving for the United States Coast Guard during World War II at the time of his death. Well, you know that Coast Guard, always in the shits. Barton Ford, because, you know, back then, for some reason, like, the hyphenated name thing is a relatively new thing as far as culturally goes. Except back then, important people that need to be identified for our historical narrative, a lot of those women seem to do it. Gave a description of Wally Ford and described him as a Caucasian New Zealander. Probably not the same guy. The FBI search for Fard was officially closed the following year on April 15, 1958. Fuck it. Immigration records did not match any of his aliases. His true identity remains unknown. But there is strong evidence that the Nation of Islam founder Wallace D. Fard was the same man as Wallace Dodd Ford, an inmate in San Quentin prison. According to Patrick D. Bowen, a PhD candidate at the University of Denver's Iliff School of Theology, fingerprints and photographs taken from San Quentin prison match those of Fard taken during the 30s in Detroit. Where? What fingerprints? What are we talking about? Furthermore, in San Quentin, he almost certainly came in contact with African American Muslim preachers and converts also incarcerated there. So, on August 15, 1959, the FBI sent a story to the Chicago New Crusader newspaper stating that Fard was a Turkish-born Nazi agent who worked for Hitler in World. He disappeared in 1934. He made his way to Germany with Hitler. According to the FBI story, Fard was a Muslim from Turkey who had come to the United States in the early 1900s. He had met Muhammad in person. Muhammad who? Oh, are we talking about Wallace Fard? Where the two men plotted a confidence game in which followers were charged a fee to become Muslims. After the story was published, Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm X subsequently charged black media outlets, which reprinted the accusation in large numbers, with running a story without requesting a response from the Nation of Islam. According to the FBI, Fard was linked to the Pacific Movement of the Eastern World, a pro-Japanese movement of African Americans, which promoted the idea that the Empire of Japan was the champion of all non-white peoples, and to senior members of the Black Dragon Society, such as Satokoda Takanashi and Ashima Takis. The FBI charged Takanashi had been an influential presence in the Nation of Islam. The Empire of Japan now? What's up, Matt? He spoke as a guest at the Nation of Islam temples in Detroit and Chicago. A February 19, 1963 FBI memorandum states, in connection with efforts to disrupt and curb growth of NOI, extensive research has been conducted into various files maintained by this office. Among the files reviewed was that of Wallace Dodd Ford. 5 months later, in July 1963, the FBI told the Los Angeles Evening Herald Examiner that Fard was actually Wallace Dodd Ford. The paper published a story in an article titled Black Muslim Founder Exposed as White. An FBI memorandum dated August 1963 states that the FBI had not been able to verify his birth date or birthplace, and quote, he was last heard from in 1934. It's just fucking insane. I didn't even mean to go into all this today, but it's just fucking insane. Anyway, I'm fucking exhausted. I don't even feel good. I feel like I'm a boot. I feel like car sick right now. So you have yourselves a wonderful day. Go check out all the links in the description. Get your free download. Go watch Hollywoodism. Go read about why they're so sick and gross in the Israel Hail and Bottom of Darkness article. And you have yourself a fantastic day. You pedophiles.